When Refo had arrived home, he found his father awaiting him in the dining hall, which of course was not as well decored and dressed as it had been the night of the banquet. He was of course furious, though he could only scream at Refo such before Refo raised his hand and admitted that he had to go clearly to sleep and to bed, and so that is what Refo did, though his dreams turned to nightmares did keep him yet awake. He would have wondered, should it have been any surprise, why it was he would have such terrible thoughts, but of course the death of his good friend and his own mother did conjure them surely as any of his greatest nightmares, and by the time that Refo had awakened, Jorgen was yet far from his thoughts, and though he did not weep for his friend, his thoughts were ever on him, his sadness ever potent. Nobody yet knew, but once they had discovered the disappearance of the young boy, a rumor abounded that the boy had fled his own mother out of fear of his responsibilities, the responsibilities that he owed, supposedly, to his own household, as Jorgen had been a rebel of sorts, and had not much liked his family, and Refo had neither liked them as well. Refo knew, of course, that he could not say a word about what had actually happened to poor Jorgen, and so he let the rumors themselves spread, and he allowed himself to relax a little bit, though it was obvious, at least to his father, that Refo knew something about what had happened. And so one night at dinner, Refo Rocumulus pressed. One of the great art pieces of the Rocumulus estate were those of the great gargoyles that stood above the gates and all the walls of the mansion. Great in size and owl-headed, one could have missed them if not only for their fear-inducing effect, for their great size and stature was such that they were fearful to look upon, and a great sense of terror had always been present in him, at least when he was a boy, whenever he struck his gaze upon them. A chill now, however, sufficed to indicate his feelings towards the great stone beasts, which stood some cracked and some impeccable, above and beyond his own family home. They were as a family crest was, perhaps, in some ways, though they were but statues, and of course, according to his father, they were to ward off the dead, though Refo was sure that Refo only said that because of his commitment to his family, and he did not believe that his father actually believed any of that, though, of course, this night at dinner, his father did bring up to the table the great beast that supposedly guarded them from these dead beings, for his father knew his friend was dead, and the city askew. They began quietly, drinking and eating, but the look on Refo's face was ever poorly hidden, ever sad, could not be disguised, and so Refo prompted. "Tell me, Refo," he began, "what occurrence has befallen your friend?" Refo glared at his father, quiet and angry. "I'm not sure what you mean." "I'm sure that you are," he spoke. Refo could only shake his head. "Why do you wonder?" "Perhaps his family," his father said, "should know." "Perhaps they would be better off lied to," Refo murmured, though Refo would not have it. "Tell me, son," he said, the slightest hint of tragedy leaking through his words. "Tell me what happened to poor young Jorgen." And without another word, Refo began to weep at the table. His father waited until he stopped, and only then did he tell his son to wipe off his tears and recount the grim, gruesome tale of poor, dead Jorgen. Of course, it wasn't much to tell, as Refo only knew so much, but solemnly he did tell it, and as his father would have it no other way.